Join me as I take on the challenge of battling the biggest giant worms in wormzone.io. Can I outsmart and outmaneuver these massive foes? Today, we're going to showcase some epic battles between pro worms and giant worms in wormzone.io. Get ready for some intense action as we dive into the world of worm eat worm, where only the strongest survive. One of the biggest challenges players face when battling against larger opponents is finding ways to counter their size advantage. Giant worms can easily engulf smaller opponents, so you need to be quick and strategic if you want to stay alive. Another challenge is dealing with the limited space on the map, making it harder to maneuver and avoid attacks. On top of that, giant worms often have more powerful abilities, making them even more formidable foes. Lastly, it's tough to stay focused and patient when facing an opponent that's constantly trying to eat you. To overcome these challenges, pro worms need to employ clever strategies and tactics. For instance, they might use speed and agility to dodge attacks and exploit their opponent's weaknesses. They might also use clever positioning to ambush their opponents or create narrow escape routes. In some cases, they might even use decoys or distractions to lure their opponents into traps. In this worm-eat-worm world, survival is all about adapting to your surroundings and making the most of your abilities. Let's take a look at some gameplay footage to see how these strategies play out in practice. Here, we see a pro worm using its speed to outmaneuver a giant worm and snatch up some tasty scraps. Meanwhile, this giant worm is relying on its powerful attacks to take down its smaller opponent. It's a cat-and-mouse game, where each side is constantly trying to outsmart the other. In this clip, we see a pro worm employing a clever ambush tactic to take down a giant worm. The pro worm waits patiently in a secluded spot, then strikes when the giant worm least expects it. And in this other clip, we see a giant worm using its size advantage to corner a pro worm and prepare for the kill. As you can see, skill and tactics play a crucial role in these epic showdowns. It's not just about being big or fast, it's about being smart and adaptable. Now, let's take a look at some of the most intense battle moments, where a pro worm makes a daring move against a giant worm, leading to a surprising outcome that keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. This clip is a great example, where a pro worm manages to dodge a giant worm's attack at the last second and then takes advantage of the momentary distraction to strike back. In another clip, we see a pro worm using its agility to evade a giant worm's attacks and then launching a counterattack that sends the giant worm flying. And in this final clip, we see a pro worm pulling off an incredible comeback, turning the tables on a giant worm that seemed certain to win. In the end, the key to success in wormzone.io is to stay nimble, adapt quickly, and outsmart your opponents. Whether you're a pro worm or a giant worm, it's all about using your abilities wisely and staying one step ahead of the competition. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about the battles you enjoyed the most. Don't forget to check out my other videos for more wormzone.io content.